I watch films every single day. There's not a point where I've gone a day without watching one, and I feel like the day will never end unless if I watch a film.
I watched it last night and it's absolutely amazing. So
Thank you.
hello, lads.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. How are you both?
Not too bad, not too
Good,
bad.
thank you. Yeah.
So do you want to introduce yourselves properly?
Yeah, I'm Jacob Stockton. I'm the writer and director of the film Tinseltown.
I'm Harrison Emmonds. I'm the actor who plays the protagonist in Tinseltown.
And the protagonist is called Jake Dunham.
Jake
Dunham. So basically, it's, from what I understand, it's a student film which is currently gearing up for an Amazon Prime release, which you must be so excited about.
We really are. I think I'm quite nervous. It still hasn't quite hit me. We did a big premiere back in, it was July, wasn't it?
Yeah, July.
And there was about 100 people who showed up, and it was so overwhelming. The first time I've ever had a premiere. It's the same for you, isn't it? Like we've never done a premiere before, and to rock up to it and see all those people. I remember I turned to my producer Jay, who sadly couldn't be here today. I turned to him, I went, "Is this all for us?" And he went, "Yeah." And I just looked, and it was an ocean of people.
It was surreal. It was really surreal.
It really, really was. And doing the speeches as well, it was terrifying but a great experience.
Yeah.
So the film itself was created with a crew predominantly from Northumbria University. So how was it that this project actually came about? Was it like a student film that then became more?
It was sort of it was silly from my part. So it was a student film that was supposed to be 8 minutes. As I've said in other videos we've done, we don't talk about that 8-minute version. It was very rushed. It didn't really make sense. The colour grading wasn't done or anything like that. But I always knew from 2019, just before I even started university, that I wanted to make this, grand film to finish my university course off with. And, with the criteria being 8 minutes, I sat and thought, I could go a little bit longer, and then it turned into 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then before you knew it was half an hour, and then it became 40 minutes, and it never stopped, did it, really?
It just kept going.
So how was that for you as an actor, I guess, Harrison?
Well, it was really interesting because I got the audition, and it was just, it wasn't even 2 pages, it was just a page.
Yeah.
And I remember I got in the room and we were waiting for Jacob, and the 2 producers turned to me and were like, "Oh, you are aware like this is slightly longer than a student film?" I was like, "Oh yeah, like that's fine. How long?" And they're like, "About 30 to 40 minutes." And I was like, "Oh wow." Because the only student films I've done before is like 8 minutes, 10 minutes. So.
I think normally it's usually 5 to 10 minutes a student film, and that's people who are sensible. Whereas with myself, I don't usually tend to listen to the criteria. I usually just go and rebel and do my own thing, which it's great, but it does you're basically shooting yourself in the foot essentially. So.
Yeah. So I will 100% admit to you that I watched the film literally last night.
Yeah.
Or I guess the early hours of this morning. And the first thing that I thought when I finished watching was, this probably isn't a film you want to watch alone in the dark at stupid o'clock in the morning, or arguably the perfect film to watch alone at stupid o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think it's not like scary. It's just messed up in the head, really. I mean, there's a lot of witty comedy, but at the same time, to think that's all going on in someone's head is quite scary, isn't it? Really, when you think about it. But I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah, there's an element of like quite disturbing scenes.
Yeah,
and it's like you said, it's like also there's like that tone of funny and quite a loving film, but then at the same time you've got like this disturbing twist, and it gets quite dark on you. But yeah, I can see what you mean by you don't want to watch it alone, but at the same time it is one of those films that's like perfect for that.
And so, Harrison, without giving away too much, this is a very intense role to play. So how was that?
It was really intense. I remember like just getting my head around the character to begin with 2 people living in his head, to then go to the extent that it goes to in the film. It kind of flips Jake's life upside down, and there's no way out. And so to go from this kind of comfort of living with his two imaginary friends to then being a complete different, almost a different character at the end of the film, it was quite a journey to go on, and making that process with Jacob, and the amount of, like, my script didn't look like a script by the end of filming. It really was annotated, and I had so many pages in my notebook of just like where this character was going, and it was such a nice challenge to have to work on for a character.
I genuinely think Harrison is probably the most dedicated actor I've ever worked with to date. I was kind of surprised, not in a bad way, but every actor I've worked with has a dedication, but his is like next level. You know, it's night and day. It's breathing that character, and that's the type of actor that I really admire and really want to work with. You know, and seeing all the notes and everything, he really did come and he prepared to get into the role of Jake. So that, I think for that's what you want in an actor more than anything.
Yeah, and I mean, listening to that, it sounds like you absolutely love doing this. But I have just realised, again, in listening to that, we haven't actually told them what on earth the film is about.
Yeah. I think, well, how are we allowed to say spoilers in this, or should we make this a spoiler one? Yeah, okay. We won't give too much away, but what I would say, it's about a lad who is living by himself, or I mean, it's not really a spoiler, but he lives with two people who aren't actually there. He's quite a lonely guy, but the only kind of people he's got are his two imaginary friends. He meets a girl at his local drama class, and his friendship sort of frays with the two imaginary characters when he starts to drift off with this girl. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Good description.
And I guess for the, like, quote-unquote spoiler thing, this isn't really a spoiler, but there are disturbing scenes. Like,
yeah.
It's not, I mean, you can tell from the trailer, there's quite a sinister twist in it.
I think what I would say is the original script, it was quite disturbing and offensive, I would say. And when my producers read that, Jane Hannah, they sort of pulled me to a side and they said, listen, we've got to change some of the dialogue here because it's a little bit extreme. And you know, reading it back, I was like, oh god, yeah, it's a little bit too far. So there were so many different drafts, and we did make so many different notes where I would say the dialogue is still, you know, extreme, but at the same time it's not too far, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd agree. It wasn't like reading it, there wasn't a point where I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It was just, it's very, very well written to the point of you can really feel the tension building just by reading the script. So that's why, as an actor, as soon as I read it, I was like, I want this role. Like, I wanted to get that audition and go in there and get it, which I somehow managed to do.
So Jacob, as the writer and director of this piece, this has all come from your brain.
Yeah.
What on earth?
Yeah, well, I think I haven't had a disturbing upbringing or anything, not to worry. It's just, I think when I watch films, I watch films every single day. There's not a point where I've gone a day without watching one. And I feel like the day will never end unless if I watch a film. So, you know, that's how I keep up to date. It's how I study. You know, I've usually got like a pen and a notepad, and I'm taking notes, and what I like and what I don't like. So when I'm watching all these films, I see things where I'm like, okay, I could take that, maybe use it as a inspiration or a reference. So I think with Tinseltown, it sort of stemmed from things like Fight Club and The Machinist with Christian Bale, very psychological films with voices. Trying to think of what else is psychological, but all those types of films, you know, I think Fight Club was the biggest inspiration. And I think I kind of thought to myself, okay, well, if I take ideas, think about them, make them my own sort of, it's kind of hard to explain, but you're taking ideas and you're making it your own, if that makes sense. So
it's like inspiration.
Yeah. I think you need a reference, don't you?
100%.
Well, thank you so much both for joining me, and tell everyone where, and if I don't know if you know when, but where they can find this.
Well, we don't know.
Keep updated.
Yeah, we don't know when it's going to be released. There's so much. I mean, now that the film's done, we've had the premiere. You know, we've got to promote the film now, and you know we're hopefully going to do some film festivals real soon. There's just a few more things we need to do. You can follow the film on Instagram, Facebook. It's just, I think it's at Tinseltown Movie, where we post all of our promo, all of our videos, clips from the film. There is a trailer on YouTube as well. If you go on YouTube, Fully Loaded Productions, it's got previous short films that I've done, and it's got the trailer for Tinseltown and podcasts, etc., hasn't it?
Yeah, all the promo on there, everything.
I do have one final question,
Yeah.
which is, where did you get the name from?
Well, this was weird. So I sort of went through different names for the film, like along with different drafts, but then I actually can't remember. I think I heard Tinseltown from somewhere, and I googled it to make sure it wasn't another film or called Tinseltown, and I thought that sounds quite good. And then I later found out it's a nickname for Hollywood, which I didn't realise. And then when we were in the middle of filming, this TV series came out called The Toast of Tinseltown or something. I was like, look at them copying it. I haven't seen that, but
It's not a Christmas film either. I've
yeah.
had so many people ask if it's a Christmas
a lot
film.
of people questioned, thinking we were making a Christmas film. I was like,
because of tinsel.
yeah, it has tinsel in it, but you know,
Yeah, no, it's definitely not a Christmas
definitely
film.
not, definitely not.
But yes, thank you again both so much for joining me.
Thank
And
you.
go and
Thank you
follow
for having
them
us.
to find out the updates at Tinseltown Movie across social media.